Hi, Mike with Mike's Carburetor Parts. I'm going to be doing a rebuild series of videos on the Holley 2-barrel, Holley 94, also comparable to a 2100 and a Holley 2110, and also the Ford AA-1. The Ford AA-1 was actually the original carburetor that Ford used, made by them and one other company. I can't think of their name right offhand. Anyway, the 2100 was or 94 was a replacement. 2100 was kind of a replacement, but fits some of the later models. At any rate, rebuilding of them all is all basically the same. The only real differences is a slight difference in the throttle shaft on some of them. But other than that, as far as the rebuilding is concerned, if you can do this one, you can do all of them. This one here happens to be a 94, Holley 94. I believe that's what it was. It's pretty dirty, 7RT I think it says on there. The numbering system's pretty simple on these things. Fortunately, the kits for all of these are available. We have, I think we have 2 different kits for this particular one. There's one kit that probably fits 95% of them, and the other kit fits some of the oddballs. I call them oddballs, but some of this a little more selective about which carburetors it fits. So it's best to have your carburetor number. The 94s, if it says 2100 on the side, you're good to go with one kit. The 94s generally have a carburetor number right here. Like I said, this one's a 7RT. Can't think what the others are, but they're pretty simple numbers usually. And that number is all you need. These did have tags on them originally. Almost all of them are, well, I shouldn't say all of them. Good share of them are usually missing. Been a lot of years for these things. Anyhow, we're disassembling this one now, getting ready to, we'll clean it up, get all ready to put together. I'll stop the video when we're ready to put it together. Here's a little something to keep in mind. We just ordered some of these. We'll have them in stock here in the next few days. It's a little, the spring though you can't get, but you can use almost any spring there that you can find. But anyway, oops, there's a little kind of a ball deal here that goes in and keeps your choke lever from being too loose. It's your fast idle cam and spring. Take off the manual choke support, I guess is the best word for it. Let's see, I got all the screws out the top. There we go. Okay, floats are not available for these. Fortunately, the old floats were pretty good quality and last forever. So be sure to test your float. What you do is you heat up some water and just before boiling, get it real hot, and immerse this in it. And if there's any leaks, you'll see bubbles right away. Now I actually take these all the way down. I take the choke shaft apart and everything. A lot of times I do it after I clean it up, so because it's got so much grease on it. But when you take these off, grind the back side of them down flush with the choke shaft, and then the screws should come out easily. That way you won't break the choke shaft. I did just recently find a whole pile of these choke shafts. So they're on online. Take the main discharge out. We also put together a hardware kit for this that includes new screws. That's your main discharge. New screws, and which makes them look nice. Notice the gasket that goes on that. There's a check weight in there. Fortunately, they are still available if you lose yours. No check ball. You don't need a check ball in this. These idle jets are still available. We have these online. If you got one frozen in here, you can drill it out. Be careful. Don't want to ruin your carburetor. Okay. Venturis. You got little gaskets that go here. Can't remember if there was one right there or not. We'll find out when we put it back together. These screws are still available. I'm surprised what is available for this. And we got our main jets that go in here. These are Holley jets. They're just regular Holley jets. If you look up for Holley jets on our website, you'll find them. Not necessary to replace these unless you're having trouble with your current setup. When you buff these off, they'll have a number printed on the side. That's the size of the jet. And the way you determine whether your jets are correct or not is you look at your spark plugs. So they should be gray colored. If they're black, you're running too rich. If they are white, you're running too lean. And what you want to do is change your jets. If they're too lean or too rich, change your jets one size, put it all back together, try it again. Technically, you drive your vehicle 20 minutes is sustained speed. You stop, pull the plug again and check it, and you keep doing that until you get it dialed in correctly. Don't go by what's printed out there. Gasoline is a lot different than it was 40-50 years ago when all these manuals were printed, so they're meaningless. The ethanol causes you, it takes more fuel now to go the same mile, so basically you need more fuel going through your carburetor than you used to. So like I say, don't use the printed stuff. It just won't do you any good. People ask me all the time what jet I should use, and I say, I don't know. You're gonna have to start out, your baseline is what's in the carburetor now, and then adjust it. And you want to take your time and do it correctly, so that you don't harm your engine. Boy. Okay. Goodness. Our kit comes with a new accelerator pump, the complete pump. Get a punch here. This one's so dirty, it's all, you can't get it out. Okay. Fits in that hole pretty tight. So there's your pump. Looks like you could replace that cup if you had to. So there, that is put together correctly with the spring. Don't remember if these springs are available or not, but probably won't need one anyway. There's a check ball down here you got to get out with a little retainer clip. Can't buy the retainer clip, so if you lost yours, you're going to have to try and make one. And all it's for is to keep the check ball from falling out of the hole. and there's your check ball. You only have one in this carburetor, so it won't be too hard to figure out. And we'll be testing that check ball when we put it back together before we put it on the vehicle, so we don't waste all of our time. And I will take the throttle shaft all apart. Check yours to see if it's loose right here. Sometimes you just hit this with a hammer, mushroom out a little bit, and that'll tighten it up. If not, you'll have to braze it. Get some brazing rod and braze over it. That's what I do. Okay, so we're ready to put it in our ultrasonic cleaner and get it cleaned up, and then we usually run it through our soda blaster. You know, if you have a bead blaster and can put soda in it, that really makes them look nice. Do not blast them with anything else. You ruin your carburetor. Any other media actually takes metal out off your carburetor and gets stuck inside the orifice. Soda is the only thing you can use. Okay, so anyhow, thank you for watching, and after I get it cleaned up, I'll come back and we'll put it all back together. Thanks. Hi, Mike from Mike's Carburetor Parts here. I'm doing a rebuild on this Holley. Let's see, this is a Holley 94 two-barrel. The Holley 94 and the 2100 and 2110 are pretty much the same. A few little differences inside, but if you can rebuild one, you can rebuild them all. Anyway, I did a previous video where I disassembled this and talked about a few things, and since then I've cleaned things up. Taking more things apart, like the throttle valves. I like to take these completely apart. Usually don't do it on the video because sometimes it's a little bit of a challenge to get the screws out. And I'll mention this again, when the screws are in here like so, I grind. You can see where I've ground these. I ground them off flush here against the shaft, and that makes them much easier to take out. You want to take your time and be careful because the screws will break. They're very small screws, as you can see, and they break off easily. So anyhow, alright, so let's put this together, and you can see it goes in just like that. That's the direction. I always mark my valves. I put little scratch marks on them on the inside. Excuse me. On the inside and on the throttle body, so I get them lined up. I want to get them back in the same positions, because you want a good tight seal there, as tight as possible. They do get worn, and you know, that's the way it is. They're old, but so get them back in the same place. You don't want to have too much space around here. If you can see too much air, what will happen is it'll act like you're stepping on the gas. It'll be too much air going through, and you'll have trouble with it. Yeah, I hesitate because I think I've put these in the wrong way here or something. What did I do wrong, Lucy? Any rate, if you messed with these and you got it all back together and you just cannot get it to idle down, check and make sure you didn't get these in the wrong way, the wrong place. I think I just slid them in the wrong side here. I can't remember now. Okay, so this one goes, the mark is that way on the inside, so it starts right here. Okay. Just so like so. Okay. I'm going to put a little Loctite on the screws. This keeps them from falling out into your engine. That wouldn't be very good. Wouldn't be good for your engine at all. I'm not going to tighten them all down yet. I'm just going to get them all started. And I do it this way because I want to get as tight a seal as I can on those valves. And so I'll get them all started, and then I'll hold my valves tight and then tighten up the screws. So they do tend to get, the holes tend to get oblong over the years. Okay, do that a little bit, center them good, and I'm going to hold them tightly closed. Be careful with these screws. They're not number 8s. Doesn't take much to mess them up. Okay, so there we go. We got the throttle body together. Yeah, let's see. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the float bowl and put the power valve in here. And what the power valve does, now see I got the gasket on the power valve. Alright, goes in right here. Power valve, as you increase your speed, your vacuum drops, and the power valve at that point will open because of lack of vacuum, and allow more fuel into your carburetor. Okay, so I got that on, and let's get the okay. So you may have more than one of these gaskets in your kit. That's okay. They put extra gaskets for bigger coverage. Get the one that fits the best. Stick it on there. Spray it with silicone spray lubricant. That keeps them from sticking in case you have to take it apart again. Okay. And there we go. Alright, so got the throttle body attached. Let's see, these are number 51, so the 51,000s. These are regular Holley jets that you can buy on our website. Now normally you'd want as wide of a screwdriver as you can get for these jets, because they are brass. They're easily to chip. It is easy to chip them, and the problem is you got to go through these holes. So what you don't want is, the reason you don't want to chip them is you don't want the chips getting into the carburetor. Otherwise it's not a big deal. Alright, so we're going to put in our drain plugs here. Get your fiber washers that fit it from the kit, put them in there. Got 2 of these. So usually I use a screwdriver like this on those jets and the needle and seat, but like I say, the holes are too small. Okay. By the way, if I haven't shown you, there's the model 7RT. That's the model number for this carburetor. Alright, so let's see. We have ourselves the that's our check weight. Goes right in here. Okay, and then we have our main discharge here. And these have some very small holes in them, so get yourself a needle or something and make sure they're clear. You know, in the old days I would have said do not put wires through these holes because you tend to change the size. Unfortunately, we have to deal with the ethanol, and ethanol leaves residue behind in the passageway, so you almost have to use some kind of a wire to get in there. Okay, so we have these very thin gaskets that go down here on our nozzle, where our nozzles are going to sit. We have one nozzle, or venturi, whatever you want to call it, one nozzle for each side here, for each barrel, and the nozzles are used to help emulsify the fuel and air, or atomize. Okay, here's the other one. Got 4 of these little gaskets. And these will only go one. Okay, I start and stop this video from time to time because I want to check on things. I want to make sure I'm not telling you something I shouldn't be. At any rate, so this, with this extra hole, goes this way. Same thing here. Now you can't get them mixed up because the way they fit, they just won't go that way, as long as you got the right end going the right way. Okay, so let's see, we have 2 of these brackets. This is a shorter one. So in automotive, you learn never to tighten down one screw when you got a series of screws like this. You use a sequence, or excuse me, when you have something like this, you're tightening down. You got several screws going in. You got a sequence that you should follow, and basically it's you snug them down. Make sure things are seated properly. And then you tighten them a little bit at a time. Well, we can't put that one on yet. I messed up. Because things get warped when people will tighten down one screw on one side all the way, and then the next one. That's how things get warped out of shape. I almost forgot to put in my idle tubes. These tubes, fuel goes up through this tube this way and comes out these holes here, so make sure that they're open like they should be. So our little bracket. Did I mention, make sure I mentioned this? Oops. Can't remember. This does have a fiber washer that goes on it, and make sure it doesn't fall out of it when you put it in there. If you forget to put that in there, the fuel is going to go past, the fuel will go out here instead of where it's supposed to go. Okay. If you happen to have a hesitation and you've just did the carburetor or something, that's something you might check on. Okay, so then we got our little air bleeds here, and these have little fiber washers on them also. I believe that only the 94 Holley have these. I think the 2100s, I'm pretty sure, don't have this. They're a little bit different design. That's one of the differences. Okay. Alright, so we got those in. So now we're going to work on the accelerator pump circuit here. And so I got my little check ball. There's two holes down there. You can see it's pretty easy to figure out which one the check ball goes in. The reason there are two holes is that you need one for, at least in this carburetor, the one with the check ball is your inlet hole. That's where the fuel is going to enter the well. And the other hole, which does not have a recess in it for the check ball, incidentally, is for the outgo. That's where the fuel will go when you're pressing down on your accelerator. Alright, so this needs to be on top of the check ball. That's what will keep it in there. If you lose that clip, you're going to have to make one. I don't think you're going to find one to buy. I always found it kind of odd that these things aren't available. Now, I don't have one here, but what I usually use for this kind of thing is I just find a socket that fits the hole to push this down. Push it down all at once, instead of sitting here fighting it like I'm doing. Okay, so it sits down there in a little recess. Just got to get it lined up so that that little hook is on top of the check ball, so the check ball doesn't come out. There we go. Okay, that's what keeps the check ball into the hole. And I can hear it rattle. It does have to rattle, so or does have to move, I should say. Let's make sure your that wire is down into its little trough there. Alright, so now I've already tested this, but if we were to test this, we put some mineral spirits in here and in here, and we the first thing we want to check for is oh well, it's too late. I will do another video on testing this accelerator pump, I promise. So for now, alright, so to see how this is put together, which I've already done, you put the spring on here, then you got your little washer type keeper, and this goes in here just like that. Simple as that. Okay. So this is an ethanol ready accelerator pump. That doesn't mean it's not going to fail, by the way. If you let your car sit and the ethanol separates, it's just like if the car sat there and the water separates. Same kind of damage. Ethanol is going to damage. It's too much ethanol, too much alcohol. Don't use an additive in your fuel that has any alcohol in it, and that's most of them. I have discovered an additive that I do carry now that it took me a long time to find something, but I did find something that is made especially for the ethanol. Does not have alcohol in it. Alright, anyway, so you put your little fiber, I don't want to call it a washer, but a little packing on your bottom of your accelerator pump, and you put your little brass washer on there, and then we got this clip here, and it will go into the middle hole. And I got an explanation somewhere about the outer holes. One is leaner, one is richer, so I can't right offhand, I can't remember exactly which way it was, but standard is in the middle, and that's probably going to be just fine. some of these things you just have to try. You know, it's not black and white anymore, because carburetors are, you know, basically they're wore out, to be honest with you. After 40, 50 years of being rebuilt a bazillion times. Okay. Kind of like jets. You can't go by what's printed, because jets are, jet sizes were done back before we had ethanol. Now it takes more fuel to drive the same mile, so the jets tend to be larger. However, if your plugs are burning gray colored, don't sweat the jets, you're done. That's all you need. Okay, so there's the accelerator pump. Do you see how it works? Return spring returns the throttle. Takes care of that. Now let's, I think we're pretty much done fuel bowl wise. So we'll put that aside, and we're going to start on the top here. Okay, we're going to put the top together, and the first thing we're going to do is put the choke shaft back in there. I took it apart so I could get it clean good. The choke is something you really want to work freely. Well, this is manual, I guess. Not as, it doesn't have to be as free as the automatics, but at any rate, you do want it clean and free. So here's the spring that goes on. This is spring loaded, and it will go on the shaft just like this. And I think right there, and the spring fits right into a little slot. There we go. And let's see, I gotta look at another one here to get it right, so I don't have to spend a lot of time figuring it out. This will go down this direction, and the spring, yeah, okay. So I'm going to turn it up here just enough to get the spring on this side of it. Turn it down where it's going to be. You see how it's spring loaded? So hopefully you can see this. Let me get it up closer. So there's one end of the spring is hooked to it right here, and the other end is hooked into this little slot right here. And when it's all said and done, it moves freely. Okay. So then we're going to put our valve in. The valve has a little poppet here. What this poppet is for, the poppet valve I should say, is that when you first start the vehicle, your vacuum is at the highest. It's going to pull this poppet valve down and allow some air in there. Otherwise you could get too much choking action, and could actually flood out a little bit when the engine's real cold. So if you have that problem, check your poppet valve. Yours could even be missing, but you really do need it there. Okay, it's pointed down, but I also put a mark on it and a mark in here to, that's the way it'll line up. So if you forget, there you go. And let's see, if I remember right, I think it goes in upside down. There we go. Okay. Wait, something's wrong, I think. Oh, this is wrong. Okay. Sorry, I let my shaft move. It's got to come down here. There you go. So I got to hold the shaft. There, I think that's right. Yeah. I knew my screw holes didn't look right. Okay, so there we go. So that's how it's going to work. You may have to play with yours a little bit to get it exactly right. Alright, so let's put some screws in there, and we'll put a little Loctite on it. See, my dog was letting us know that he needed to get in. Okay. Okay. So there you go. spring loaded. Okay, needle and seat. First we'll put the seat on. It has a little fiber washer. It goes on just like that. If you forget that fiber washer, you're gonna gas is gonna go somewhere it's not supposed to, instead of in your float boat. And if you're having a flooding situation, maybe you forgot that. The other thing I'll mention right now is after you, this happens a lot when I'm bringing it up. You're all done with your rebuild. You put it on the car, right away it starts flooding over. You got gas everywhere. What happens is you got crud in your gas tank and your fuel lines. You put it all back together. You try to start up. All that crud heads right to the carburetor. The carburetor is your ultimate fuel filter, and ends up getting your needle and seat all dirty. So if you have that problem, take your top back off and check your needle and seat and make sure it's clean. I also spray it with some silicone spray lubricant to make sure there's no particles of anything in there. Alright, remember my seat. Excuse me, my needle. Spray it to make sure it gets clean. Okay, and okay, I know this one's set right because I've checked it, but I don't have my spec in front of me right at the moment. But you measure from here to the underside of the float here. The distance right there is what you're looking for. That's your float level. Float drop is going this way, and you're measuring from here to the top of your float again. And the reason you need a float drop is you need your your needle to drop down out of the seat and allow the fuel to go in. Okay, so if you want to test it, you can gently hold this down, don't mess up your needle, don't put any pressure on it, and blow in one end, and maybe 4 pounds about all you need, just to make sure it's working. Okay, so we got that in there. We're gonna put the gasket back on here. Let's see. Okay. So again, get all your screws started. Work from the inside out as you tighten them down so you don't get things warped out of shape. If you do end up getting something warped, go look at my video on, or I should say the technical page for Holley 1904 one barrels, and I demonstrate how to straighten out a warped carburetor body by using a torch. It's not too difficult. So not so much of a problem with these. Sometimes these tops get warped out of shape because of the way people have reefed down on the screws. But you just get them all down, and you start from the inside, work your way out, getting the screws tightened. Okay. What you don't do is double gasket your carburetor. That messes everything up. That changes your needle and seat, the way it's set up. You just got to get it unwarped. All right, so there we go. So now we're going to put on our what is this thing called? I can't never remember what I'm going to. Okay, number 4 is the plunger choke lever. This is a plunger, and this helps keep your lever where it's supposed to be. You see this little indentation right here. That's what that's for. And it has a spring, which I haven't been able to find. They're very stiff, and I just lost that one. Alright, so while I was showing you this spring, how tight it was, I'd managed to lose mine. I had to go find it. So they're very stiff. I'd like to find some of those. I'm sure that people lose them all the time. This really needs to be here, this plunger. The plungers, we can still, we have those. Anyway, it goes right in there. See how it moves up and down. Okay, and let's see, let's put this on next. This will be your fast idle lever, and you got your spring here that, let's see, I believe the hook's right in there, right on that stud right there. And let's see, this one, yeah, it goes this way. Wait, that don't look right. Excuse me. There we go, this way. Okay, because it has to be spring loaded. Okay, so set it right there. And then you just got to kind of push it over, make sure that spring stays where it's supposed to go. Just like that, okay? Put your washer on there. Put our screw in there. I think we have these screws in our hardware kit. I'll have to check that out. Okay, so there you go. That's where that goes. All right, it goes in there. Be sure to get your lever in there right. Okay. This is your manual choke. When you pull on the cord, that's what this. When you pull on it, it's going to pull it this way, and that's why you need that spring on there, because what you're doing, you just this does not close the choke. The spring does. If that spring's not there, it's not going to close. Okay, so when you open it, that is all manual. It pushes this little lever right here. Alright, so, and with the choke open like this, here's your idle screw, and it's up against your throttle arm here. And when you close the choke, when the choke closes, you watch this arm move onto a high spot right here, and it tends to open up your throttle just a little bit. So that's your fast idle. And it works off both this same screw, your idle screw, and there. Okay, so there you go. The only thing we have left is this, and you just have to remember, took it off of here. It goes right here, and I have the screw in there, so I take it back out. Not a big deal. Yep. So don't forget, I will have a separate video that will just show you how to test the accelerator pump, which I like to do before I put the thing together. Okay, what is wrong here? I need the screw wants to be too short. It was on there once, I thought. I just need to take that lock washer off. It's not necessarily needed. Find a longer screw here. At any rate, that's fine. That'll work just fine. Okay, so there you go. That's how your cable fits in there. And then don't forget, which I do a lot, is put your needle in there. Hardware kit comes with new needles, and you screw it in there gently seat it, okay, and turn out about a turn and a half. Just get close because you're going to have to adjust these after the engine's running anyway. Okay. And there you go. So we got a new gasket for the air cleaner, which is unusual. We're going to have a new gasket for the flange. Those generally come in our kits. And there you go. So that's the Holley 94 two-barrel rebuild process. And I thank you for watching this.